It's Friday, so time to torture myself once again with Robyn Hood, the show very loosely based on the folktale Robin Hood, and the adaptation is frankly looser than Kevin Bacon's Feet, and it just keeps on getting worse. In this one, the supposed heroes of the show straight up kidnap someone, and it betrays that the makers of the show seem to have a problem understanding basic ethics and morality. But I did stumble on a weird fact that I found interesting while writing this, that being the lead actress, Jessie Romero, is from London, and her dad, it turns out, is a famous musician called Jazzy B, from way back. This song is from 1989, and he's the founder of the group Soul to Soul. I think that's him in the middle there on the guitar, on their song Back to Life. If you've never heard them before, maybe give them a try. I'll try to remember to put a link below to that track. And here is Jazzy B, his real name's Trevor by the way, getting an honour from the UK government in 2008. And that's a young Robyn Hood on the left there, so that's nice, but sadly what isn't is Robyn Hood. And who are the heroes supposed to be in this thing? Because when I weigh it all up, the people the show seems to think are the good guys seem on balance less moral than the baddies. And no joke, in this episode the good guys, in air quotes, kidnap someone. They straight up abduct a person from their own house and hold them as a prisoner when he catches them trying to steal his birthday presents. I say person. It's the character Chet, John Prince's idiot son, who's a complete crank handle, but a load of the people the Hoods rob in this episode didn't actually do anything wrong. They just went to Chet's party and provoked, in air quotes, the Hoods, by having things that the Hoods wanted to steal, and the Hoods almost unalive Chet multiple times while they have him. A drunken Chet walks in and catches them trying to steal his birthday presents from a safe, and Little John panics and chokes him unconscious, using something that barely even looks like a chokehold at all. And the show seems to think that just choking someone unconscious is harmless, and no, it's not. The person getting choked can get brain damage, it could also end their life. More so if, like Chet, they're unconscious for minutes like Chet seems to be. Don't do it unless it's a legitimate self-defense situation or you're in an MMA match. It wasn't even necessary in the first place. They could have just tied Chet up. He was already restrained and it was 3-on-1. But if Chet did get brain damage, frankly, who would even notice? The Hoods are also so useless that Chet gets away, and when they're chasing him, he panics and somehow falls maybe 20 feet off of a balcony on some wooden stairs, and in reality, he'd be lucky to be alive or ever able to walk again. In short, the good guys go way too far, and frequently against people that didn't actually do anything wrong, and I'm not actually sure who the bad guys are in the show either. I know who the show seems to think the bad guys are, but I'm sat here thinking, and we have the character, the Sheriff of Nottingham. The classic main Robin Hood bad guy, only the sheriff is now a very angular ginger lady, and she's supposed to be one of the main villains in the show, and thinking back, this is episode 5 now, and she isn't in this one, but in 5 episodes, we haven't actually seen her do that much wrong. We learned in fact in one episode that she had a harder upbringing than the Hoods did. She was brought up in an orphanage, and the worst thing we heard that she's done is that as a girl in the orphanage, she was bullied by another girl who used to steal her food, and she started putting rat poison in it. But that's morally a bit of a tricky one. She also ended up as quite a corrupt cop. But what have we seen her personally do in the show? She's working with John Prince. I don't actually know why she's working with John Prince. If she's getting bribed, they haven't even bothered to show it. We saw her hit one of her own officers in order to blame it on the Hoods and justify a crackdown. We saw her damage people's stuff when searching houses for stolen property, and she demanded intimate favours from another officer.
Those look good. A big salty clam would sure go great with this heat. You want one, Daff?
No!
Oh hey Fred, and my point is, we've seen the good guys do far worse than the lead villain, and I'm lost. I'm trying to understand the maker's thinking here. Was that scene supposed to make the sheriff evil? Is it that she likes men to do that for her in the maker's eyes that makes her evil? Because that seems to be quite a high percentage of women, and frankly Redcap seem pretty up for it anyway, and I'm not sure I would put that in the category of evil, unless she never washes, and then that would be pretty evil. What is this scene supposed to show exactly? Do they think a woman being assertive alone is evil? Is it the abuse of power? Is this supposed to show she's a degenerate? as opposed to Robyn Hood, who goes to bed with enough men and women that canonically she needs a condom jar in the kitchen for her mum to quote, re-up for her. What else has the sheriff done wrong? Well, she's tried to arrest the Hoods for committing multiple crimes, but that's kind of her job. So how did we get to any of that nonsense? Well, Chet was being a tool again, you know, for a change. And it's Chet's birthday.
Hey! The sign is still uneven! Are you cross-eyed or something?
And none of this makes any sense because Chet is having the party at John Prince's penthouse. You know, the one that John expressly told Chet that if he brought another peasant to, he'd throw them off of the balcony. So Chet is now going to let a large part of Sherwood Tower into John Prince's penthouse that contains John Prince's office and the evidence of his many crimes, all held behind a locked door that can be defeated with a credit card. And all of this when they could have just hired out a venue. But no, instead, by all means, come on up, drunken teenagers, to the penthouse full of priceless art, medieval weapons, and evidence of his many crimes. In response to the robbery of his house and theft of his car in episode 1, if anything, John Prince appears to have lessened security. Next we get shown the new character Elmore, who in 5 episodes is only the second white person who's not been presented as pure evil, and that's an improvement if anything. Because after the first couple of episodes, it was looking a lot like in the entire series that number would be 0. Elmore is apparently a homeless and hungry street musician and friend of Alan Adale, who gets made an offer by Chet because Chet and 2 friends want to hear his music. So with reservations, he gets into Chet's car to play guitar for them on the offer of $300. Chet then drives him 15 miles away from Sherwood and he's bullying Elmore and refusing to pay. He then offers Elmore $1,000 for his guitar, that Elmore grudgingly accepts, and then Chet smashes the guitar and throws the money up in the air, and Elmore sinks to his knees in despair as Chet drives off. For no. An actual homeless and hungry person would be trying to grab that money even if it was humiliating. That or trying to strangle Chet until he paid what he was promised. Did Chet just throw $1,300 up in the air? Grab that, you can get dinner and a new guitar with plenty left over. The smashed guitar was beat to hell anyway. You can probably get a new one with about $50. Maybe less second hand. Still, Chet's a tool and is dumb enough to record himself doing all of this. And what's it matter if Sherwood's 15 miles that way? Elmore hasn't got to get back to Sherwood. It isn't where his home is. He's homeless. Home is somewhere he can sleep somewhat safely and won't get done in by the cold. And what happened to Sherwood as stick together? This guy's supposed to be your friend and is homeless. Can nobody let him sleep on a couch or a floor? And I'm not sure the people that made this show actually understand what extreme poverty does to a person. Like in episode 1, where they had the allegedly very poor people in the tower throwing eggs at the police. Try having no eggs, or no food at all for you and your children. Then you're getting close to understanding. Elmore survives on people's charity. He's going to be picking that money up off the floor before it blows away. Meanwhile, the Hoods are having a clothing drive, and Elmore makes it back to Sherwood and is clearly very upset. The Hoods then learn what happened to him and plan their revenge on Chet. And luckily for him, it's Chet's birthday party coming up, and Robyn thinks she can get them in. So Robyn puts on her party dress and they try to glam her up, and geez, could they not get her a better dress? She's not a bad looking lady. This is supposed to be the oh wow she's beautiful scene, and they don't land it at all. The clothes they make this poor lady wear frankly make her look like a hooker. This is her from some event, and if you're trying to look classy, it's maybe better if people can't see your pants. It's not quite as bad as the one the lady had on in a Witcher promotional event, but it's getting there and it's a shame. If they dressed her well, she'd be very attractive. Maybe in something that matches her body and features in some way. Seriously, put her in something like this, and a lot of guys' response is going to be like this. And then Robyn and Little John share their first romantic kiss in the series, where Robyn wasn't either blind drunk or high. And man, this show makes black folks look really bad. The Hoods do all get into the party somehow. Robyn, Little John, Alan and Much all just essentially walk into John Prince's building. Again, the same building they robbed only a few weeks earlier. Much is supposed to be on the wait staff, and the show just skips to them inside. They just bypass the seemingly non-existent security again, and Chet is still being a tool. He arrives to his own party blind drunk and sits on a throne wearing a crown and demanding birthday presents from the guests that he then insults.
Welcome to my party, bitches! Oh, great, another one of these.
And why is anyone staying for this? What's the draw of Chet Prince's party? The party looks even less fun than watching this show. Maid Marian the lady lawyer is also at the party, so her and Robyn dance together to distract Chet, and they manage to make it remarkably unappealing, while a song in the background is singing about poverty. Little John, Alan and Much go to steal Chet's birthday presents, and then Chet comes in, so Little John chokes him out despite not even really putting on a chokehold. So they panic, and instead of opening the safe they'd planned to open, they steal Chet instead, carrying him out of the building in a large crate that was used to bring the throne in, and the security guard doesn't even question this. The Hoods then change into their disguises and take Chet to an abandoned building. Meanwhile, Robyn and Marian go looking for evidence of John Prince's misdeeds in his office. They manage to bypass the door lock by using a credit card. And Marian somehow downloads John Prince's laptop contents onto a USB stick without ever unlocking the PC. They then get caught and have to kiss to throw suspicion off. A nice excuse. Robyn managed to stay loyal to John for less than a day. John and Much leave the room where Chet's being held to talk about relationships, leaving an angry Alan alone with Chet, and he completely screws it up. First, Alan takes his mask off for reasons, and Chet has a blindfold on that makes it look quite a lot like he'd be able to see Alan's face around the edges. Then Alan loses his temper, barges into Chet and manages to free him from the chair he's tied to, so Chet is now free. He also has a phone and he tries to call his friends and accidentally hears them talking about how much they hate him and how much of a tool he is, and he is. He then falls off the balcony while being chased and is so annoyed at his friends that he takes the Hoods back to the party to go and rob all of his friends. So in the end, the heroes take the money and clothes of these people that didn't actually do anything wrong, instead of taking valuables from Chet or John Prince. And Chet, the person who they were supposed to be getting back at, is the only one who doesn't get robbed. He gets to keep his watch, his necklace and his phone, and these are the good guys. The good guys, in air quotes, who in this episode kidnap someone and rob a load of strangers at a party. The makers of this show genuinely don't seem to understand the difference between right and wrong. It's a complete moral vacuum that's instead self-interest dressed up as morality. The makers of the show seem to think that someone having things that you want is enough justification to rob them. Let me guess, the makers will probably describe this as equity. This is the kind of mindset that makes people think it's okay to punch people in the back of the head for TikTok views, or just feel entitled to go and loot a shop. And by the logic of the show, that would be earning money. And the episode ends with the Hoods buying Elmore a new guitar and getting him a sparkly outfit. And please tell me that those clothes are not something they just stole from the party. Have they seriously just dressed this homeless man up in stolen goods? You could get him thrown in jail. The good guys, in air quotes, of this show have now, in just 5 episodes, committed criminal trespass, multiple assaults including on police officers, armed robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, grand theft auto, cybercrime, arguably corporate espionage, destruction of public property, and now, as of this episode, kidnapping. Do you understand? You have to make the bad guys a lot badder than this if you want to make the series work. I mean, it's probably going to get cancelled, so I'm likely wasting my breath. But unless you're trying to do something clever, and this show definitely isn't, bare minimum, the bad guys have to be more evil than the heroes.
Did that work?
Yeah.
Fuck. Jesus.
I can feel your anger.
What about the other Jedi spread across the galaxy?